Series B, $43 million in funding, which is going to help us through the next part of our growth period, and really excited to see that we'll hopefully be doubling our headcount again and having really ambitious plans moving into 2022.
Nice, exciting times. And actually, you touched on a point there. You started as a BDR, and then you went to like the team lead and BDR manager, and now what? That's a team of 14. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Just talk us through like that journey. Like, how did that work? How did the hiring go? What's it like?
Yeah, so I was really lucky and fortunate to find Alex, Ollie, and Milan Radia. Well, I think we found each other, to be honest with you. I had a previous experience as a professional ice skater. I toured with Disney on Ice for 5 years, no sales experience whatsoever. However, when I did move to London, I started working in public relations and putting together direct mail campaigns. So Reachdesk is a B2B SaaS platform, which we help marketing, sales, customer success, commercial teams essentially to leverage physical direct mail and e-gifting as a channel to generate, nurture, retain, engage business opportunities, relationships, conversations, and Reachdesk ties all that together in a single platform. So how my journey from BDR to team lead to manager, I had no expectations coming into this role. I didn't understand sales, didn't understand the industry, but as I mentioned, Alex and Milan were great leaders and great champions to help me ramp successfully and quickly into this industry. And I actually found myself just falling in love with it. And I think that passion and love for the industry and just seeing how much you can change over a small amount of time and then how quickly this industry moves just really hooked me and led me to be really passionate and accelerate my career to BDR manager.
And you kind of, yeah, and Reachdesk has gone through like such explosive growth. And I know it's direct gifting. How does that work with, one topic that's always big in outreach is, personalization. So obviously gifting
Absolutely.
is a huge part of personalization. So where does this fit in? Where does it like fit in across across the multi-channel prospecting that we live in today?
Yeah, so prospecting today, you have to create a really good experience. You have to be personalized, you have to know what your audience, and most importantly, you have to be human. So the way that direct mail and gifting works with that is it takes a really human approach to B2B sales and marketing. We are inundated with mass emails coming from marketing teams, which makes it really, really hard to cut through the noise. Sales professionals, we have a lot of great sales professionals out there which are doing one-to-one, one-to-few campaigns and prospecting and really creating those moments that matter. But unfortunately, there is still a lot of clutter out there that we have to find our way through. So direct mail and gifting as a channel really comes into its own because you can be personalized, you can be relevant, and you can create that human moment in your sales and marketing cycles or your customer life cycles, which ultimately surprises, delights, and engages a prospect or customer in a completely unique and different way to any other channel out there at the minute.
Yeah, so let me understand that a bit. So, there's so many kind of SDRs out there, salespeople out there today. Everyone's, fighting for attention, suggesting their product. How do you go about, like, once you find the right target account? Okay, I found the target account. We've had no engagement with them in the past. What's your kind of process from the very beginning through to, typically getting that meeting? What do you do from start to end? If you were going to like execute perfectly, put all the effort in, what do you typically do?
So first of all, I think you need to understand what a good fitting account is. We use a tiered system at Reachdesk. So tier 1, which is our ideal customer profile. They're really the customers which are going to make a huge difference to the business and that we're going to be able to benefit them in the best way possible as well. So having a good balance of your tier 1s, which are probably going to move a bit slower because of the size and complexity of the deals which we know that we're going to go through. And we then would move into a tier 2 and tier 3 customer. But also it's important to not be stagnant in your approach and always be testing new markets and expanding that ICP as well. So that's where marketing can really help with sales teams to understand new markets that you might be prospecting into. So when you found your accounts, you understand what a good fit looks like. Next, you need to be really mapping out those accounts. So I would always say for a tier 2, tier 3 company, probably start with about 4 people in the business that you're going to be outreaching to. Again, it's important to be reaching out to multiple personas within that business, because everyone's going to have different challenges, and you want to be covering all bases and making sure that there's a really good fit, not just for one team in the business, but multiple teams as well. And then the tier 1 companies, you're probably going to be looking to prospect around 10 people to start with, just because of the size of those businesses. I'd also say from those tier 2s and tier 1s, there's going to be a slight focus or change in job titles which comes into those personas. So for myself, we would be prospecting marketing. We know that marketing in a tier 2 company, we probably want to be talking to the CMOs, the chief marketing officers. However, in a tier 1 company, we're probably going to be looking to go more of the director, heads of departments, so field marketing, demand gen, for example, over the chief marketing officer, because they're going to be more focused on reporting to the board. So you really have to be walking a mile in your prospects and customers' shoes to understand where the fit is, and then how you can be relevant in the message that you're putting across. Because you can't just go by job titles anymore. You have to really understand what their role is going to be focused on, depending on what company they're at.
Yeah, nice. Appreciate it. So yeah, so you get that tier. So firstly, focus on the right account, right? Who's most likely to benefit? You know, we've probably got multiple customers in that industry already. We know that they're probably doing this type of outreach. And then once you've got your tier 1 and tier 2 accounts, as tier 1s, you're targeting, sounds like 10 people across different personas. And then your tier 2, like, 4 or 5 people. And then once you kind of, okay, you've identified, okay, this is the right person who I think, we've had previous success with this. What type of tools are you using here? Like, are you using like LinkedIn, Salesforce, cold email, sequencing tools, HubSpot? And how are you kind of personalizing that kind of sequence from start to end, from gathering what information you can get?
Yeah, we all love sequences. They help keep us focused, help us organized. As BDRs, we've probably got 250 accounts which you're managing at any given time. So a sequence really helps you to navigate the steps in your process that are going to keep you on track. My biggest advice would be, as much as a sequence is great, we can't be automating absolutely everything, and we have to be delivering those moments that matter at the right time. So being able to identify in your sequences when the opportunity is to go outside a sequence, that's quite often where the meetings come from. If I look back at the meetings that have been booked in the past year, it's very rarely from that first email that you send or from the 4th email in your sequence. It's most likely going to be from a call that you might start to make after somebody's engaged with a piece of content which has been in that sequence. It might be a sequence has ended and you realize that somebody's clicked back on a video that you sent them maybe 3 months ago, because 88% of our buyers now buy when they're ready to purchase. However, if you make that memorable moment from that video touch, then they're going to be more likely to come back to you when the time is right for them. So that's then the opportunity that you would then send a follow-up, because you notice some sort of engagement at that point. So a sequence is great to keep us focused and on track, and we have to be living by our sequences because it's the only way that we can really scale that personalization. But again, it's really important. The best BDRs, I think, are the ones which notice those trends, which is when an account is really engaged, to then follow up in a timely manner to be able to book in those next steps and interact with the channel that the prospect is most likely to be engaging with.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's really great advice. Like, yeah, the sequences are great. They add that structure. You need to be able to scale with sequences, but it's looking for I would say the kind of micro activity in between the steps, when people are engaging, lots of opens, they're looking at videos. And you kind of touched on it there, like things that top performing SDRs are doing. You've got a team, quite a large team there. You've seen that you've been in the space a while now. What do you think you see the top SDRs are doing these days compared to say maybe not so good SDRs?
I think it's all about building that repeatable process. So knowing day by day, week by week, month by month, where you're at, what you need to do, and what's going to happen next. So that's quite often at the start of your quarter, and just looking at the quarter in a whole, understanding which accounts you're going to be prioritizing, the reasons exactly why you're going to be prioritizing them, coming back to the training around ICP, looking at trends, looking at what happened in the last quarter, what do you think is going to be happening in the next quarter, really understanding your accounts and where your focus is going to be. Also, it's the people which are really metric and data driven. So yes, it's important to be doing your activity numbers each day and knowing how many activities you need to do to get to your target and your goals, but challenging yourself with the quality within those activities as well.
Yeah.
So are you currently booking 1 out of every 10 connected calls? What can you do to increase that to 5 out of every 10 connected calls meetings booked? So yes, a lot of BDRs will put a lot of work in, and they'll be hammering the phones, they'll be slamming out emails. But again, that's only contributing to that mass of communication that we see out there, which makes it even more challenging for BDRs to cut through. So taking that really targeted approach, increasing the quality of everything you're doing and balancing that with your quantity metrics really brings the best BDRs to the front, because they're not just working hard, but they're working really smart on everything they're doing. And then delivering those moments that matter. So really going that extra mile to find that piece of personalization, which isn't going to just resonate on a rational level, but also on a really emotive level. The best BDRs are able to think about what's going to be happening in someone's personal life and then relate that back to a business challenge, so that you really hook somebody in on that emotive reason, but you give them enough rationality behind their decision making to take that next step as well.
Nice. I love it. And yeah, I think a couple of points there, looking at the emotion of the prospect, the repeatable steps and process as well. And I think one thing you mentioned there, which is really interesting, it's almost being conscious of every activity you're doing. Because it's easy enough for people to like smash the phones, make 50 dials, send out 50 emails. But are you consciously sending those, thinking about the prospect? Are you doing those types of activity? Just a couple more questions. You kind of touched on it there, metrics. What are some of the kind of key metrics you look at on a kind of weekly, monthly basis? Is it number of dials, activities? Like, is there anything specific that you guys are looking at?
I think we've all had those, or I personally haven't. I've heard stories of having those managers which are constantly like, you need to hit your 1,000 activities this week. You need to do 50 cold calls this week. And it is really important. But for me, if I'm having a conversation about activity, then something's really gone wrong here. Everyone should know what their own individual activity numbers are to see success. And as I mentioned with the quality, the more you improve the quality of those activities, the less activities you're actually going to need to do. So a load of BDRs will spend their time talking to the wrong people to have a conversation with the right person. So understanding who the wrong people are in the buying process, but how you can leverage those people to get to the right people is so important. So the activities or the metrics that I'm really focused on at the minute is email reply rate. How well are you handling your rejections? So putting a percentage on your rejection handling. If you are able to overcome an rejection a quarter of the time, then you're probably onto a win. We're looking at the 25% from connect call to meeting booked. That's going to really help deliver the results that we need. From every event that we attend, putting the metrics on how many meetings booked from the amount of people are there. So not just signing up to an event and saying, okay, well, we need to get 10 meetings booked from this event, but really thinking about the opportunity that is there, and then focusing on how we're going to optimize our processes and our time to get the most out of being at that event. So for me, it's mainly the quality that I'm focused on.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's really important. Yeah, I agree. I think these old school number of dials, number of activities, number of emails, I think you're focused more on the specifics around, okay, where can we overturn objections? How are we overturning that? Looking at specific events, like you say, looking at a webinar or in-person or physical event, how many sign-ups or conversions can we get from that? So yeah, and I guess it doesn't create that kind of mundane, hey, we're just doing the same thing every single day, because you've got different metrics for different parts of the business as well.
And data is so important to help you with that. If you need to set up your data in a way that it's going to easily communicate to you what the truth is and where the gaps are, and then pick that on a monthly, quarterly basis to make those improvements. You can't fix everything all at once, so start with the things which are most obvious and fix them first, and then keep working your way through. And if you can increase your quality by 10% each month, then it's going to help you over the course of the year to just go above and beyond those targets which you've set.
Yeah, Brilliant, brilliant. Ben, thank you so much. There is some absolute gold for SDRs, BDRs listening. So again, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll hopefully speak to you soon. Thanks.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cheers.